jumping out of McCall the whole 5 years you were down there?
Well, 4 years. Yeah, 71, 2, 3, and 4. I jumped out of McCall, and we went on some. We went on a lot of backup places or backup trips to Alaska and over to La Grande and to Redmond and Redding, and we were flying into Redding. We had a plane that was like a miniaturized C-130. It was I think they called it a Caribou. You probably remember.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen pictures of them dropping cargo.
Cool aircraft. But we were practicing, the rear exit on those, and we were jumping out of that, and then we took it with us over on a trip to La Grande, and then nobody had jumped yet out of our group, and then they got a call that we were supposed to go to Redding, and so they said, well, you might as well just take your plane and your whole crew, instead of mixing, some from us and some from them. And I said, yeah, we can do that. So we took off, and of course, but we were at, I think it was at the base supervisor's birthday party, because everybody had a few beers before we get on the plane to go over to Redding. And so I wake up, and it's maybe 20, 30 minutes before we're going to land. And so I kind of picked my way along. There's people, flopped all over on the gear and stuff, sleeping and everything. And so I picked my way up to the front, and I kind of step up. There's a couple of pretty good tall steps there, and I hike up in between the pilot and the co-pilot. I said, well, how's things going? And I hadn't been there 2 minutes, and this engine fire light came on. I'm thinking, Jesus, this isn't good. And so they pulled the extinguisher, and it went off, and that's good. Then it came back on again, and engine fire, and it's blinking. And so then the guy, I think the co-pilot, says to me, well, maybe you ought to go wake some of those guys up and get their gear on, get their harness and their spare chute, their second chute on, and so, but then the other guy, the pilot, I think, says, I think it's going to be okay, just don't sweat it, the lights are right there. So we went ahead and landed. It turned out it really wasn't a fire. What had happened was that I think they call it a collector ring that went around where the main manifold connects on to another piece that takes the exhaust out. Well, that had either broken or come loose or something. But the heat from that, there's a whole bunch of instruments right behind that in a segment there. And it's insulated off, but it got pretty hot in there, I guess, and that's what had caused the engine fire light to come on. But there really wasn't a fire, and it was okay. But I do remember going, damn, this doesn't look good at all.
Well, did you ever get involved in like squad leaders or spotting or stuff?
I never did. I did a little bit of course, everybody got a chance when I was in Alaska. Especially in Alaska, that's when you got to fly with the pilots up there, and they were always tired and sleepy. So if you're going home or something, everybody would run up and get in that other seat, and they'd take off, and they'd get you up to flying altitude, and then they'd say, oh, keep it on this setting, and keep it the altitude between here and here, and wake me if anything exciting happens. They'd check out, and you'd just fly home, and then you'd wake them up when you'd see the lights of Fairbanks, and hey, time to land this sucker, and then they'd wake up and, oh, okay, thanks, and but hell, up there might be a 2-hour flight or something, and you just level flight it, no big deal, but that was always fun. I never did the. I will say this, that as far as the spotting and stuff, one of the best spotters I ever had was Wayne Webb out of McCall. And, he had an eye like none other. He is really, really good. And I remember one time I was jumping a fire down there, and he said, Don, we got 3 layers of wind. and the upper layer is going this way, and you got a middle layer that's going this way, and the lower layer is going exactly the opposite of the top one. So you're really going to have to be on your toes, and by God, he was right on the money. And I mean, I went into this one and then turned again, and I mean, and I made it right in the spot, and it was
That's
just
cool.
But
Yeah.
but he was really just superb. God, he was good.
Well, before we talk about what you did after your jumping, what do you think you got out of it? What do you think you got out of being a smoke jumper as a person?
I think probably the thing that has stuck with me the most is self-reliance, and just knowing that you stick to things and things will get done and it will turn out good. But you got to stick to it, and you got to put your best efforts in. But I've heard a number of people over the years that have compared it to, in fact, several guys have told me that have been in actual combat. They say it's the closest thing to wartime combat is smoke jumping and firefighting in primitive conditions like that. Because, you know, like you said earlier, I mean, you're watching your guy's back and he's got yours, you know, and you're looking after each other all the time and taking care of business, but you're always looking out for danger and for for problems, but you're also looking to solve things, and that's another thing that I always had such a sense of accomplishment, I guess would be the good word to use, because, you know, there's nothing better than kicking the hell out of a fire, especially if it is trying to get away from you, and you catch it and you just knock the hell out of it, and you get it out and you win. You know, you beat it, and I always really enjoyed that, and I just thought that, you know, that Jerry Blattner and I talk about that a lot, about the way that they fight fire these days. You know, when, you know, we always talk about, you know, you had one foot in the black all the time, and now they're 2 ridges away from it, you know, and we don't understand how you can do that.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, it's kind of like, you know, I mean, I never had to do combat, but my training unit, we were used as a aggressor force for 1 week. And I tell you, I learned in one night in a ambush situation just how easy it would be to kill a lot of men in a very short period of time. This is over in Fort Lewis, and we'd strung our whole company along this trail, and we knew these guys would be walking down through there, and we put about 4 or 5 guys on the other side of the gully, and when this other company came through, and they're all strung out across there, and at that appropriate time, one of these guys would open up shooting. You know, it was all blanks, of course, but everybody, they taught you this quick kill thing, and so everybody would come up and just start firing. Well, of course, they all had their back to us. Well, then we're behind them, and, you know, and then, of course, they have a judge there, you know, a kind of a referee type guy, and he says, "You're all dead, you know, lay down, you're done," you know, and then we're taught a few Vietnam words. You go and kick them in the ribs a little bit and give them some Vietnamese swear words and stuff, you know. And we had the little helmets, what do you call them? I call them rice bowl hats, you know. But they had us all dressed up like that. But I mean, it was scary. It really was scary to see that, and to see how easy that would be to take all those lives. It was just scary as hell.
Yeah. Well, what did you end up doing for the rest of your life after you were smoking?
Well, I have